Hello everyone, it's Bernina Jeff in Grand Junction, Colorado. I'm not an employee of Bernina America. I'm a dealer here in Western Colorado. I have some nice tips, some do's and don'ts today, not trying to sell you a whole bunch of stuff. So we're going to show you, I'm going to tell you some things that we should be doing when we sew. So first thing I want to show you, and come down here, whoops. We want only one color of thread on a bobbin. This one looks like a bullseye. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors on that bobbin. So that's a big no-no. It is not good when you have a machine that's detecting whether you have bobbin left or not, because you'll run out of a thread and there's thread still on there, so the machine's still going to keep sewing, but you could be sewing for an hour with no thread actually making a stitch. So one thread per bobbin. If you need to take thread off a bobbin, you're only going to be wasting a couple cents worth of thread, so don't worry about that. Use one thread per bobbin. Install your needle correctly. Needles have a flat spot on the clamp area, and most modern machines, the flat goes to the back. So just remember, flat to the back. And if you don't know for sure, look up your manual or see how your other one came out if it's sewing correctly, because this flat part is in relation to the groove on the needle, and if that groove is not in the right place, your machine will not sew correctly. All right, next one is when you remove the thread from your sewing machine, grab it from the needle. I usually grab it from right here and pull it out after I've trimmed from up here on top of the spool. Pull the thread out the same way it sews, and you won't get debris building up in your tension units and cause additional maintenance and save you money down the road. Also, always brush out the lint. Don't blow the lint out inward, or don't blow it with canned air. It just ends up inside your machine deeper. So you want to brush it out. We technicians use a air compressor after we take all the covers off, so it takes the lint out very nicely. I see this all the time. I see this pin in the bottom of the sewing machine and it looks like a check mark. It's because somebody sewed over the pin, the needle hit the pin directly and pushed it inside the machine. So never sew over your pins. Please pull a pin out right before you sew. Use a fresh needle. The needle tip wears out after about 9 hours of sewing, 8 to 9 hours of sewing, depending upon your fabric. This tip gets dull, or it could hit something hard and it won't sew properly. So cheapest tune-up is a new needle. If you have a Bernina with a dual feed system and you have a D foot on, you must engage that back part of the dual feed system for the machine to work properly. Some machines will sew without it, but it will not pull the fabric through correctly. That needs to be engaged to make all the feed dogs from the upper and the lower work properly. So always use your dual feed with a D foot. Upper threading. If you're threading the upper part of your machine, you must have the presser foot to the raised position. If you thread this with the presser foot down, there's a good chance it will not get inside the tension unit, and you'll get these big loops and such underneath your fabric. I get this every week that somebody has a problem. So rethread the top, make sure the presser foot is up, and thread it that way. When you get to the needle eye, you can drop the presser foot down so you can get the thread through the eye of the needle easier. If you are a quilter or if you use a rotary cutter, always put the guard back on after you make a cut. If you're using a rotary cutter and you leave it open, I've actually cut the side of my hand because the rotary cutter was open just by pushing the fabric over. So those are razor blades. Protect the edge of that rotary cutter for future use and protect your skin. Use a good quality thread. That 50-year-old thread could be weak and causing a lot more lint inside, so use a good quality thread. And I also suggest to use the foot that the sewing machine suggests for the stitch. So a lot of the new sewing machines will give you a foot number or a foot item for the stitch that you're doing. So if you're doing a buttonhole, it'll say a number 3A for a Bernina. If you're doing certain straight stitches or whatever, it will give you a suggested stitch. So use that, it'll give you your best quality. and know the limits of your machine. I just had one in here today, and she was trying to sew through something that was almost 3/4 of an inch thick, and that's after she packed it down. As soon as the foot gets to a place where it can't go anymore, something has to give. A lot of times the tension unit opens and you get a big mess of thread underneath. So know the limits of your machine. Don't sew anything too thick. That's the biggest reason I see machines in here. Use the designed bobbin for your machine. This is my pet peeve. Do not use pre-wound bobbins unless it was designed for that machine. I see bobbins in here, Berninas with Singer bobbins. I see Singers with Brother bobbins. Use the bobbin that is designed for your machine. If you have no idea what bobbin is, there's a website out there where you can buy products for your machines. It's called sewingpartsonline.com. I use it as a search engine. People will come in and say, I have a Singer model 6152. I have no idea what bobbin that one takes. I go to sewingpartsonline.com, type in the model number, and sure enough, it'll tell me what is guaranteed to fit in that machine. These guys are a wonderful company. If you need parts that any type of brand of machines, use them. So this has been Bernina Jeff with helpful hints and tips. Thank you.